Hi everyone. So, Mami with Hello. Hi everyone. My name is Ruth Nyako. It's another Monday. You're welcome to KREDA Birthing Concept. So, what are we going to do today? So, it's been a journey. I think we started as if we were joking, and then gradually we're going. We're going. So, you're welcome to the channel. How you most people know this to be is a birth plan, but we normally say that with labor you don't know how the plan is going to go. You can plan as much as you want, but it may not go according to plan. So the preferred name that we give to it is birth choices. So welcome to the channel. We're going to just do a little recap, and then we're going to start um, doing whatever we have to do today. So the little recap that we have is we've done booking, we've explained screening, and then we've last week consultant led. So if you're consultant led, what you do, and if you're midwife led, what we do for you and all that. So we've discussed all these things. So if you're listening to us and this is your first time and you want to know what we've done so far, you can go back to the videos. They're all there. Have a look and then see if you can learn a thing or two from everything that we've discussed. So today we're going to talk about natural forms of pain relief. So when we talk about pain relief, then we're talking about you're going into labor. So if you're going into labor, then we need to know how we can be able to manage this pain. So when you come into labor settings with pain relief, we always say that we work like according to stages, and the stage, the way we describe it is to say that the pain relief threshold is like a ladder. So you climb the ladder from the bottom and then you go up. So if you go into labor initially, try and do natural things, very natural things that doesn't involve any medication, just to help you to be able to cope with the pain. So some of the natural things are what we're going to discuss, and then we'll see how it goes. Good. So the first one that we're going to talk about is breathing technique. So when we say breathing technique, what are we talking about? So when you're in pain, the best thing to do is to distract yourself. And how do you distract yourself? By doing some of these natural forms of uh, pain relief. So when we say natural form of pain relief, it doesn't actually take away the pain. It's just the fact that you're focused on doing something else rather than the pain. It helps you to go through it without really feeling it. So it's not like it's going to take how you feel away, but the fact that you are not focusing on the pain is not as bad because your focus is on something else, like the breathing, like you're in a nice warm bath, things like that. So these are natural things that you do initially. So when you say breathing, how do you do it? So with the breathing, we encourage you to take deep breaths. And when you take a deep breath, you take it for longer. You're not doing shallow breaths. You take it deep. You suck it in and then you blow it back out nicely. You suck it in and then you blow it back out very nicely and slowly and very controlled. You don't want to do it in a way that you are left feeling as if you've done 100 miles marathon or something like that. So what we encourage you to do is to take the breath in and out, deep in, deep out, deep in, deep out. And with every breath in and out, it helps your body to be able to cope with the pain as it goes along. So the first one that we are going to talk about now is the breathing technique. And why is this technique very important? It is important because when you're able to control the breathing right from the beginning, then you get into a stage where you're really good at it, and being good at it then helps you when you go into the unit. If you want gas and air and all that, then you are able to take it nicely and regulate your breathing as you take the gas and air to go with it. The next one that is very good on the natural forms of pain relief that we have is when we say warmth, we're talking about warm water or maybe hot water bottle. Some people would just love to put a hot water bottle just behind their back. If you go into early labor, most of the time the pain is just around the front, and then the back is so uncomfortable. And for some people, just a normal water bottle filled with nice warm water, just like I'm sitting, you put it behind you, and then it just soothes you. So if you have that, and then you use your breathing in technique, voila, you'll be good. So you stay calm, and then gradually you get over one, and then you carry on with the other one, you get over the other one, and then you carry on with the next one. So warm water is good. It can be warm water in a bath. And what we really recommend if you are going into a bath is have a nice, big bath that can really immerse the belly. So this bit of the belly, so this bit where you can get the pain is normally radiated from here to. So if all this bit is immersed in the water, then that's good. You realize that it helps you. It helps the body to be able to cope with the pain. So the warm water is not just for you to be calm and nice, but it also serves as a pain relief, a form of pain relief. So especially if you're somebody who is good with water, then you will notice that the early stages of pregnancy, if you get into a nice warm bath, it really, really helps you. Good. And the next thing on here, we talk about massages. So when we talk about massages, what we're trying to say is something to calm you down. Because when you're in pain, labor pain, what we normally encourage you to do is to try and relax. And it's very difficult to relax when you're in pain. So if your partner is there and they are going through the journey with you, they are happy to do massages, then that's fine. You can massage your feet, they can massage your hands, or just if you're somebody who likes oils, that is another way of keeping calm. Oils are not like a form of pain relief, but they help you to keep calm. And if you're calm, then you can go through the pain one after the other. So oils for massaging is also good. With oils, there's so many forms of oils. So if you're somebody who is interested in oils and stuff, when you go to the oil shop, I think Body Shop and all those places, they've got them, and they've got people who have really been trained in them. They can explain them. So if you're happy with oils and you want to do massaging, then you can put the two together. So you combine the oils that are good for you. Some are good for relaxation, some are good for calming you down, and then if you block nose or things like that, eucalyptus, they've got all sorts of oils. It's a very nice area to look into. I wasn't really keen on these things until I had a training, and I realized that this can help. So if you've never looked into aromatherapy, then look into it. It's a very nice way of keeping yourself calm and staying right in the mood in labor. It also helps. So you can combine the massaging with aromatherapy, and that would be very, very good. Yeah, that would be very, very good. And the next one on here is movement, mobilization. So when we say mobilization, move. The more you move, the more you're not focusing on the pain. And with labor, if you start going into labor, although we want you to move, we also want you to rest. And this is where sometimes some people overdo it. If your body is too tired, it's not going to labor as it should because it's tired. So although we are happy for you to mobilize, we are also happy for you to rest. So if you're in early stages of labor and you call me and say, Ruth, I'm in early stages of labor, but I'm very, very tired. I don't feel like walking as I should. I will advise you to go to sleep. Although the early stages of labor, because you can still feel the pain, you cannot just go to sleep, like sleep. But you can have 2 minutes, have the pain, and then 2-3 minutes, have the pain. All these little resting that you're doing, it helps. So although we want you to mobilize, to exercise and all that, You need to listen to your body. If your body is telling you that you're tired, you need to sleep, go to sleep. That little 1 hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes power nap will help your body to just press the restart button, and then you start everything fresh. Okay? So we'll love you to mobilize, but we'll love you to rest. So with the mobilization, you can go for a walk. Yeah? Walking is very good. If you've got a dog, that would be nice and handy. So you focus on pulling the dog along rather than focus on you yourself walking. So that is good. And you've got your birthing ball. You can sit on it. And as you sit on it, you rock to the side and back when you get the pain. And then when the pain goes, you relax. That is also another way of mobilizing. And then, as I always say, baking or cooking. If you love music, put something on. Nice music. And make sure that you're jigging along with it. And all these little things, they will just take your mind away from the pain so that you can be able to go through it. So Vera Asari, please, is it possible to get your contact on what to call you, please, regarding my pregnancy? I'm having oh God. Okay, Vera, when we finish the program, I will message me. I hope you've BP, everything, but you message me, and then we'll discuss it and see how far you have to go. Okay? No worries. Yeah, no worries to that. Good. On here, we've got changing of positions. So it's good to go into all sorts of positions. So if you realize that, you go on your knees and your knee is hurting, and for that reason you can actually feel pain in your knees rather than even the contractions, then change. And why do we say mobilization is good? Mobilization is good because the more you mobilize, the better the baby gets into a very good position for you. So if you, as we say to all pregnant women, stop slouching. So when you sit in the couch, you make sure that you sit with your back straight. You don't want to be slouching like that, because those positions does not encourage the babies into a very good position that is good for labor. So we try to encourage you to sit up straight with your back straight. And if you've got a birthing ball, that is a perfect way of sitting up straight. You sit on the ball, there's nothing to lean your back on, so you end up being in that good position. Okay, good. And then the next thing on here that we can talk about as a form of early stages of labor pain relief naturally is TENS machine. So when we say TENS machine is electrical something that it comes with pads, and then you put the pads on your back. So this is your back, this is your sacrum, this is your hip. Yeah. So you put the pads there, and then you connect it. You connect it to a little booster. So what the booster does is it gives you electrical shocks whilst you get the pain. And with the shocks, you can go up, you can go down based on how strong or how weak the pain is. So if you feel that the pain is really strong, then you can boost it up so that it can help you. But what you need to realize is you cannot go in the bath with this thing because it's electrical. We don't want you electrocuting yourself, okay? So it's really important that when you have a TENS machine on, you don't go in a bath. You don't go near water because you can be electrocuted. Okay? Good. So these are some of the natural ways to be able to deal with pain. So some will go for yoga, some will go for meditation. If these are things that will really help you, then that's fine, go for it. And then we do talk about hypnobirthing as well. So if you're somebody who has been able to go through the hypnobirthing courses, or you've listened to tapes online and it's something that you think you'll be interested in, then what you need to do is to make sure you're listening to your tapes at the initial stages when you start feeling the pain, because the tapes, as you listen to them, they calm you down, and as they calm you down, it doesn't let you focus on the pain. It makes you focus right on the baby and how every pain is a step closer to seeing the baby and all that. So if you are somebody who is into hypnobirthing, that is another good thing to do. Good. And Other people will do all sorts of things. We've got cultures that do all sorts of things. I remember when I was growing up, we get the women to pound fufu and all that. But in this country, you're not going to be pounding fufu anywhere. So whatever makes you comfortable, make sure you do that so that it can help you take your mind off the pain. Then the body can be able to labor beautifully. Good. So we are at the end of the natural forms of pain relief that we have. So if you have any questions or any concerns, you can pop them on the comment section, and then we'll say it, and then we're gonna try and then answer your questions. Good. So that is it with the natural forms of pain relief. If you know of something else that you do that can help you, you can pop it on there and we can discuss it if that I know about. Good. So the next thing on our list that we're going to talk about today is birth plan or birth choices. So we don't say birth plan, because when you say plan, it means what the thing is going to go. But when we talk about labor, you can plan as much as you want, but the baby will do whatever it wants to do, not what you have planned on paper. So what we normally refer to birth plan is we refer to it as birth preference. This is what I would prefer. If it happens, then good. And when do we do a birth preference? You do a birth preference around 37, maybe 36, 37, all the way to 40, 41, whenever. Why do we do it? It's not a requirement. It's not a mandatory thing that if you're pregnant, you have to do a birth preference. No, it is not. But when you go into labor, you don't know how you're going to be feeling. And if you're a first-time mom and you're not lucky and the labor goes on for a long time, if you happen to go to labor ward and we change about 3 shifts before you go, then you're going to be seeing 3 different midwives before the baby arrives. If you don't have a birth plan, what happens is everybody that comes in, every midwife that takes over, the midwife will ask, so how do you want a baby to be born? How do you want this? How do you want pain relief? How do you want that? So to cut all those questions short, you do a birth preference so that the midwife comes in, she sees your birth preference, she knows exactly what you want on paper, and then we can see if it's achievable. So normally when you do the birth preference, it's really important to try and discuss it with your midwife before you go into labor. So the midwife will look at it and then see what is practical and what is not. If there are questions or there are things that you're not very clear about, then the midwife will just go through with you to make sure that whatever you've put on there is achievable and you're comfortable with it, and then it can be done. Okay? So having a birth preference is not mandatory, it's not by force, but it will be nice to have one. Okay, so how do we do it? So most of the time you do a birth preference after you've had your antenatal classes. So you've gone for your antenatal classes, and it depends what you want to do. So we've got NCT, which you have to pay for, and then our local NHS trust. So your midwife will also offer you antenatal classes. So if you want to take that, you can take that. But if you prefer to do the NCT, which you have to pay, then that's fine. Some people will do the NCT and also have a taste of what the NHS one is. And I always say that the NCT people, because you're paying them, they tell you what you want to hear. we deliver you, so we tell you how it is. We tell you the reality. So for some people, they feel it's a good thing for them to go to the NCT one and then do the NHS, and then you compare and contrast and then see where you stand in the middle ground. Okay, good. So you can do one by going on to NHS choices. So when you go to NHS choices, it's just as you know, when you're pregnant, we never ever ever encourage you to Google anything. Don't Google anything. Dr. Google will scare you. So we tell you to always try and search for things that are choices. So you go on to NHS choices and you put in birth preference. When you put that in, it will give you a list of things that like a planned birth preference, and then you choose according to what you want. Okay, so it will talk about pain relief. So as we are saying now, we're just talking about the natural forms of pain relief. And the natural forms of pain relief are things that you can do at home, even before you come into the hospital. So normally these are things that you can do before you get to 4 centimeters. But some people can use the TENS machine right from 4 centimeters all the way till whenever they think they cannot cope anymore, that they will need a stronger pain relief. But the initial list of natural pain relief methods that I was talking about, normally you do all this before you get to labor ward, where then we start giving you proper medications, I mean pharmacological medications. So when you go on to birth preference on NHS choices, there are so many questions that you take according to what you want. So one of the things is pain relief, and from next week we're going to talk about gas and air, Entonox, epidural, and pethidine, and all those things. So after you've had a bigger picture of what pain relief is, you consider your own choices, and then you write according to your preference what you would want. So most people, we start with the naturals, the walking, the exercising, the breathing techniques, warm bath, and then from there they graduate onto the other things, paracetamol, or you go on to gas and air, and then see how it goes. So if that is how you want it to be, just state it. You just state that. Some people will just be open and say, I am gonna go with the flow and see how it goes. If my body can take the pain, then I'll take the pain till whenever I cannot take the pain. And some people will say, I want this, I want that, but I don't want that. And when you discuss it with your midwife, that is when the midwife is able to explain. So if you say you don't want pethidine, then the midwife will ask you, why don't you want the pethidine? And then when you give your reasons, then the midwife can then explain what pethidine does and why you need it and when you're giving it and all these things, so that you can have a better understanding of it. What sometimes I see or I find with birth preference, people come in and they make stringent birth preferences. They're like, under no circumstance should you allow me, which is the husband, you shouldn't allow me to have a epidural. But the problem is you have never been in labor before, so you wouldn't know how it's going to feel. So when you have that conversation with your husband, what normally happens is when you're in labor, because you are lying there, you don't see things around you. You don't know what is happening. But it's the husbands who see everything. And if you've had this conversation with your husband not to ever allow you to have a epidural, but he can see that you're struggling, but he's scared in case we get this epidural going and then we come home after the baby, maybe you're going to kill me. So the husband, his hands are tied. So what I will say is when you're doing these things, try and make sure that it's very flexible enough that you can put things in and take things out. Don't be too stringent, okay? So that is the next thing. They're going to ask you about the pain relief, put them down how you want it, and then as you go into labor, your midwife, by the time you get established labor, they know you. Although they see you for a couple of hours, because we've been doing this, who can really cope, you can see it. And if you see somebody who is struggling, you will know that, oh, my patient is struggling. So the midwife can then advise you that although you want to have gas and air or just pethidine, I can see that you're struggling and you are only 4 centimeters or 5 centimeters. So can we just go for the epidural? So she will advise you, and then if you think this is a good thing to do, then you go with it. Okay? So they are there to help you, to support all your choices, and to also make sure that you're comfortable with the whole process, and the process is also a pleasant one. Okay, good. So after asking about pain relief, next thing will be they will talk about the preference. Will talk about monitoring. So when we say monitoring, when you go into labor, depending on how your pregnancy went, the baby may be monitored continuously or it will be monitored intermittently. So when we say continuously, that is when you have been strapped to a machine, and most of these machines you can't go far. You can go around the bed. If you've not had epidural and you're mobilizing, then you can just mobilize around the bed. But if there's no problem, everything is fine, you've been midwife led, there's no concerns whatsoever, then your monitoring will be intermittent. And when we say intermittent, it means, when you go to see your community midwife in the GP surgery, the little machine that they use to listen in, so the midwives will use that machine to listen into the baby every 15 minutes until you get to the stage where you're pushing, which is second stage. And then when you get to that stage, we'll be listening every 5 minutes. So the birth preference will ask you about all this. And this is what most people don't really understand what it means. So that's why we're saying that if you get to that stage where you've been able to put your birth preference together, then call your, discuss with your community midwife so that we can explain and give you all the gaps. Okay? Good. The next thing that the birth preference is going to ask you is talking about students and medical students and things like that. So when you go into labor, because we need to train, we all have to be trained at some point before we became midwives. So because we have to be trained, there are, shifts that you go on, or when you go into labor, that the midwife will have a student, or there will be a medical student who is learning. So what we normally say is this student or this observers, they will not do anything that is beyond them. And don't forget, if there is somebody observing, then the person is observing on a midwife's pin or midwife's identification badge. So if the midwife is not comfortable for that person to do anything, they will not let them do it. Because most of the time when you have people taking that they don't want students, this is what they're saying, that the student might be doing something that is dangerous. And I'm like, no. So students know their remit. They know where they stand, and they know what they are allowed to do and what they are not. But what I will say here is, if you've got a student midwife working with your midwife, please accept it. They are very, very good. What they do is they sit there with you, have every chat and every conversation in the world with you, whilst the midwife is busy running around. So with a student, medical student, wife around, they keep you company, and then they try to update you a little bit with whatever is going on with their little knowledge that they have. So they are a good source of support when we update you every step of the way.